Hello, and welcome to No Matter What, Notice Sooner, a simple tool for observing the non-dual state from Practically Mindful. As the title suggests, this is intended as a very practical, very straightforward methodology for accessing a non-dual state within mindfulness meditative practice. If you've heard of or you're interested in and looking to participate in this concept of a non-dual state, but you maybe find the existing guided practice or theory difficult, opaque, it's rife with metaphor or spirituality. That's not what we're going to do here today. Everything that you hear today is meant 100% entirely literally. And you don't need to do anything other than physically adjust as asserted. And hopefully you find this useful and you are able to apply it to your existing practice. This is meant as an appendage to your existing practice. It can function standalone, but it works best within the context of another practice or a standard mindfulness practice. So with that, let's get into it. As stated, we want to make this part of our regular practice, this new form of observation, this new way of thinking about mindfulness entirely. But there are some basic things that we can do here to really help facilitate the process and give us the best chance for recognition of that non-dual awareness. So first, we want to color our visual field. I like to use a very bright quilt that has lots of different patterns, colors, textures, shadows, the like within it. As point two indicates, though, uh, you don't want anything within your visual field that is going to directly distract or pull attention. If you find anything like that, eliminate it, remove it, hide it, point your vision, your visual field somewhere else. Things like tennis shoe, your hand prominently in visual focus, uh, your cell phone, right? These are all objects that you are likely to readily identify, even if they were, say, out of focus. You still would be totally observant that that's a hand or that's a tennis shoe. But something like a quilt, it's just a bunch of patterns and colors and shapes, right? So we want things that are going to excite awareness without drawing attention, if that makes sense. You're going to reduce brightness in the room as well, ideally. My first interaction with the non-dual awareness was in a pitch black room, staring at the ceiling. That's not necessary, and if you find that to be something that just causes you to get sleepy, then no worries. These are, again, all tools, components that we can utilize, but do what's best for you. Also, optionally, remove contact lenses or your glasses. I wear glasses, I remove them every time. These are tools that are designed to, or glasses, contact lenses, they're designed to help uh, help us move, work, function within this subject-object perception, focus on objects out there, which is obviously antithetical to what we are trying to attempt here. We want not to focus on objects in our subject-object perception. So any tool that we can eliminate that helps us there, is useful. In terms of the actual practice itself after preparation, uh, I prefer to utilize a very slow breathing routine purely through the nose. I typically stick to 5.5 to 6 seconds per inhale and per exhale with a strong pause in between. That pause between the exhale and then the moment of first inhalation is really that moment where the magic is most likely to occur. That shift in your conscious perception of reality. That's where it happens. We're going to use eyes open as well. If you typically utilize eyes closed, perhaps it might work for you, but I have never found it to be particularly useful here until I have already achieved a very deep meditative state. At that point, my eyes will often naturally close, as I've already entered and retained that state that I'm looking for, and my mind is now comfortable being undistracted by the objects in the subject-object relationship or perception. We're going to go very soft or slack in our gaze. Your eyesight should go a little fuzzy if you're doing this correctly. You may notice a slight doubling of your vision, right? Or, in the same sense as like a cross-eyed feeling and almost an eye strain. These are all 100% acceptable. Nobody's seeing you, nobody's noticing you do this. It shouldn't hurt, but you're also not going to harm yourself in this practice. So just invest in it. You're also going to want to start by looking upon the plane where visual static or that visual shimmer occurs. If you're not familiar with what that means, you may try closing your eyes and noticing that you're not looking into a perfect pitch black void in front of you. There's a shimmer. There's maybe residual, light from a light source you saw that is fading in your visual field, and there's a sort of shimmery goldenly static to it. If you're not seeing that, you may pause here and attempt to engage with that. But if you're having trouble noticing where it is, look sooner. Again, notice prior. I mean that as physically as I can. Shift your visual field so that you're noticing closer in front of your face. If all of this makes sense, get comfy. Again, we're going to be able to utilize this as a standalone practice. It's very brief, but try to apply it in the future. So imagine this is you looking out into the world. These are your eyes looking open, soft, slack. And we're going to begin our breathing routine. Slow, deep, intentional. And as we breathe in, we're going to notice sooner. We're going to breathe in our visual field. Try to almost vacuum your visual field toward you. And again, a way of thinking about this, simply notice sooner. So we breathe in, we breathe out. We breathe in, we breathe out. We breathe in, and we breathe out. Each time, your perception should be sooner, shallower. Your perception, your awareness, your attention, everything there should be drawn towards the very edge of your visual field, the very edges of it, all the way around. And as you breathe in, double that intention. If you're having trouble with this, you can close your eyes again. See if you can regain where's that focal distance for the shimmer, for the static. What do your eyes physically feel like in that moment when you notice it? Retain that. Start there and then begin breathing and noticing sooner. Let's try it again. Here's our visual field looking out into the world. We soften our gaze. It goes a little blurry, a little doubled. It might shimmer a little bit. Then we breathe in and we breathe out. And we breathe in and we breathe out. And we breathe in. Let me know what your experience is in this. Try it. Try it on your own. Say it to yourself. What happens? Another way of thinking about it. These are our eyes looking into the world. Imagine this field here. Imagine this is vehicles coming and going out there. We're just not focused on them coming and going out there. We can see the headlights and taillights. We're vaguely aware that that's what that is. But our attention is nearer than that. It's sooner. And what you're going to notice as you get more adept at this practice is as your visual field expands, and it will, you're going to be interested, your mind is immediately going to be drawn to that occurrence. Your perception, nothing changes actually, it's simply your perception that we're shifting slowly over time. But your mind is going to notice and it's going to immediately want to observe and account for this. That is why we must always simply notice sooner. It is a mantra I use for myself in practice constantly. It prevents me from being enthralled in what is occurring as I change my conscious perception from a subject object, from a dualistic perception, into that non dual state. I have to fight the urge to observe and instead remind myself by noticing sooner, there's still so much more available to observe. I hope you find this helpful. Thank you so much for your